I told myself in 2025 I was going to paint more fantasy armies, and that's why this video exists. Hey everybody, my name is Ronald, and because of one-page rules, I've found a desire to play tabletop war games again. I love Warhammer. That's why I got into this hobby in the first place. But there was just something about it that after the fifth or sixth time the rules got updated and changed and they took away my empire, I kind of just... something about it didn't seem as fresh and exciting anymore, and I just really wasn't down to play. And so I stumbled into 3D printing, and that journey led me to one-page rules, and I love playing one-page rules. I've gotten my kids to play it, I've gotten friends of mine to play one-page rules with me, and if you look at my channel, you'll see that what I have a lot of is mostly like futuristic armies fighting against each other, which is kind of crazy because I love fantasy. I even have fantasy novels that I've written. Like, I haven't written any sci-fi novels, I've only written fantasy ones. And I got into Warhammer because of the fantasy section. I played Empire way back in the day, and when I was playing Empire, especially in college, most of the time I would play against my college roommate who had an army of wood elves. And I loved his wood elves. I admired his wood elves. I actually didn't love them because they would beat my empire all the time with causing fear and all that kind of thing and making my regular humans like run away. But One Page Rules has been releasing a ton of Wood Elves content on their Patreon, which I am a member of because I love getting a ton of models every single month. And so what I told myself is 2025 was going to be the year of painting fantasy armies. And I'm excited to show off my Wood Elf armies. Now, here are a couple lessons. One, I paint for me. I know I'm putting them on YouTube, but I'm not painting to impress you. I won't impress you. What I'm painting for is to have a finished, cohesive looking army that I can put on the table and play against my kids and my buddies. And then third, I'm really trying to get into this idea of quantity over quality. And I'll explain that more in a future video. But without taking up more of your time in that way, I would love to show you the wood elves that I've been painting. So let's check that out. Hey, I also bought a turntable for this video, so hey, look, it's my cool turntable. These are the Wood Elf dryads, right? The tree men that they have. And they come in two different types of flavors. There's one with these cool horns and skulls that they wear. And then they also come in a different variety without the skulls and without the horns. And what you're gonna see here, and part of why I painted this army the way that I did, is I tried to use a very limited color palette, meaning I used 3 colors mostly for this entire army. And you'll see it repeated again and again and again. Brown, this parchment white, and green. Here you'll see the other version of the dryads, and instead of the claws, they have branches for their weapon, which is pretty cool. And so you'll see here that really I've just painted them as basic as I could. The idea was to get an army onto the table. And so that's what I was able to do here with Wood Elves and this army. So it's been really cool to paint them and get them. I've also been really trying to use my airbrush a lot because I know with an airbrush, I'll be able to get more models onto the table. Now here we have the 2 Treeman heroes that you have. Coming around this way is the spellcaster, the Wraith, and here is the Treeman Elder, which just has a really cool like rock mace attached to their arm. I just think that's really, really neat. And if you look closely down at the bottom, each of the treemen have like these kind of hooves for feet, which is really cool. Then you have on the other end of the army the elf part, right? So these are the elf guardians. They have long bows. They can shoot 30 inches, and they're just elves who can shoot really far. And you'll notice here again, it's primarily green, it's primarily that white, and then that brown is the accent color on these. And to flip it, that's kind of the opposite of what I did with the army when I was painting treemen. So trying to use that same color palette, but make it different when it came time to get to paint these. And what I was thinking is that most of the thing on the wood elves would be lots of bone. So here are the wood elf scouts that they have. They come in 5, they have a little beetle buddy on his shoulder. And so you'll see here, I pick out lots of colors as best as I can with the brown, and then let the green just be green on them. And then here are the wood elf heroes that I have. I have a guardian of the forest. I have this really cool looking army standard bearer, which I really enjoy. And then also this wood elf spell weaver, who is like the caster and has an owl sitting on their staff, which I just think looks really cool. And I'm enjoying the wood elf guardian, how they have these on the back. Then also there are the owls that are pretty awesome. You'll notice that later on wood elves will release like owl riders, which I'm super excited about. But for right now, I just have these owls that are flying around and being able to fly quick and scout and do all this kind of stuff. I think they look really, really cool. And then even have an owl riding an owl, little owl buddy for this army, which I think is fantastic. And then here are the treemen brutes. These guys are cool. I really enjoy their aesthetic. Again, with the big stone mace that they have attached to one hand, and with one times that I choose a different color, they have pink flowers on just their, on their backs here, which I thought was really cool. And then the biggest model of them all, this treeman giant, a huge guy. You can see the same type of motif with the big skull mask, these massive antlers, a big beetle sitting up on the top of it, and then these really cool hooves for feet, as well as the stone mace. Basically, whenever there was an option to take a stone mace for this army, I took it. And then here you can see, this is my glorious army arrayed in poor lighting on my kitchen table. Now, I love painting armies. I just think it's really, really cool. And to be able to do it in a quick succession, I'm finding is something that is just really, really neat for me. So we end up having 10 treemen, 10 wood elf guardians with their longbows, 10 wood elves with halberds and shields, 5 wood elf scouts with short bows, 3 treemen brutes, 3 owls, a big treeman giant, and then 5 heroes or so. And with all of these, I just used the simplest basing method I possibly could come up with, which was basically take a combination of flock, stone, and static grass, put it in a bag, and then apply PVA glue to their bases, and then dump them in there, shake them around, and then pull them out. And that was all I did for their bases. Is this army going to win any type of award? Absolutely not. Am I now looking at this video and seeing spots that I could improve and make better on? Of course. But I have a painted wood elf army. I'm really excited about that. Now, I love this idea of painting armies and trying to have just the big visual of the army all painted up as being the main thing that I get to see, and having that be the army. And then I'm understanding as well that if I ever want to go back and fix some things in this army, I can. I bet you probably noticed there are a couple misprints in the army. You probably even notice that some of the halberds had the handles missing, and I replaced them with toothpicks. And if you didn't, that's great. So that's how I expect people to see this army, from a distance way over there, But for me, having the army all painted up and ready to play just makes it super fun. And I'm really excited about the other things that I've already printed for the Wood Elves this month, like the giant beetle that they have, the deer lancers that they have released as well, and a lot of other really neat models and figurines. It just has me excited for painting again. Do you like painting your armies? Is that the part of the hobby that you really enjoy? It's the part that I find myself going back to probably the most. I love playing, but there's just something really exciting about seeing a full painted army. Let me know down in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Which part of tabletop wargaming you enjoy most, the playing or the painting? And which you feel better at, because if you're like me, you're not great at either of them, but it doesn't matter because this is a hobby and we get to have fun. So thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, do me a favor, like the video, subscribe, leave a comment down below. It really helps the channel, and I'd love to interact with you. If you just want to chat, leave a comment down below as well. We'll see you next week.